Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at an incredibly dramatic moment today, the exact moment a powerful demon king was crushed under Mount Kailash. But here's the twist. He actually found liberation, not through his legendary physical might, but through rhythm. We're talking about a massive transition from overwhelming pride to this radical, intense devotion. It's the story of how the creation of a legendary musical offering completely changed the cosmic dynamic between a devotee and the divine.
Picture this: heavy, oppressive darkness. You can practically feel the physical weight of the mountain and the utterly shattered pride of Ravana, the king of Lanka. He is completely trapped, his arms are pinned beneath the earth, and he's literally gasping for air. The sheer brute strength that he's relied on for his entire existence, it's completely failed him. He suddenly realizes he's been crushed by just a single thought of the Mahadev, Lord Shiva. And in that desperate moment, looking up at the peak hidden in the clouds, he utters this incredibly powerful realization.
Section 1. The Crushed King, a Shattered Pride. Ravana is literally dwarfed by the massive scale of God's power. He's physically pinned under the mountain's weight. And there's this brutal irony here, right? His famous 10 heads, which are usually a symbol of his vast knowledge and power, are now doing nothing but multiplying his physical agony. He's screaming, but his screams are entirely unheard by Shiva, the great ascetic, who just remains in deep meditation, crushing Ravana's pride under his big toe. Ravana is coming to terms with the terrifying fact that his physical might is absolutely useless against a meditating deity.
And this is where we see a massive, massive pivot. When sheer brute force and arrogance completely fail to move the mountain, Ravana shifts his entire strategy. He turns inward. He taps into his intellect, his unmatched knowledge of music, and his mastery of Vedic phonetics. In this moment of radical devotion and intense pain, he decides to offer a musical sacrifice. Legend traditionally says he actually used his own nerves as strings to create this divine rhythm. He takes his sheer agony and he transforms it into art.
Moving into Section 2, Birth of the Rhythm, Pain into Melody.
So here's the absolutely crucial point. Ravana doesn't just pray. He doesn't beg. Instead, he weaponizes his vocal power. He utilizes incredibly complex Sanskrit meters to create what we now know as the Shiva Tandava Stotram. This is a thundering, rhythmic command of language. It's a musical offering birthed entirely out of pain. He uses his voice to create a divine rhythm, essentially substituting the physical strength that failed him with an overwhelming auditory force. You can almost hear the incredible shift from screaming pain to this commanding, rhythmic challenge offered directly to the Lord of the Cosmos. Ravana is daring Shiva to listen. He knows Shiva loves the rhythm of the universe, so he offers up his own shattered existence as a new, completely irresistible rhythm. I mean, it's an incredibly bold, audacious move for someone pinned under a mountain, right?
Which brings us to Section 3, the Thunderous Stotram, the Mountain Beats.
Ravana starts to chant. Using his immense vocal force, he paints a majestic, lyrical picture. This specific line actually translates to describing Shiva's matted hair holding the mighty river Ganga. Think about that for a second. He's using his breath, the very breath being squeezed out of him by the mountain, to glorify the very god who is crushing him.
Then boom, the tempo instantly picks up. Ravana's voice grows highly rhythmic. It imitates the sharp, percussive strike of a heavy drum beat, specifically Shiva's own instrument, the Damru drum. The rhythm really accelerates right here. It gains this intense, aggressive momentum, almost like a rapid rap. It's a relentless, driving beat that's echoing off the walls of the mountain.
And then the chant hits a complete, thunderous fever pitch. This is the absolute peak of the performance. Ravana is perfectly mimicking the unstoppable force of the Damru drum with his Vedic phonetics. The sheer auditory power of this complex Sanskrit meter is literally vibrating through the earth itself.
Now, why does this matter to us? Because Ravana absolutely refuses to cower. During this fever pitch, he essentially calls out, "Look at me, Mahadev, I do not sing for mercy." He's demanding the attention of the universe through the sheer perfection of his art. He honors everything from the Ganga in Shiva's hair to the fire in his third eye. And he sings simply because Shiva is the only being worthy of such a magnificent melody. It's just a phenomenal display of devotion wrapped up in unyielding pride.
Finally, Section 4, Silence and Surrender, the Aftermath.
Suddenly, there's an immediate, miraculous physical response to this unparalleled musical offering. The chanting stops. There is total, heavy silence.
And then, the impossible actually happens. The heavy pressure of the mountain lifts. A golden light descends from above, dwarfing Ravana in its scale, but signaling that his soul has, indeed, moved the god.
Breathless, his massive, destructive arrogance totally replaced by genuine awe, Ravana speaks these words. He bows his head low. He finally understands his true place in the cosmos. He realizes he's not the mover of mountains, he's simply an instrument through which the divine rhythm can flow.
This encounter completely transforms him. He realizes that while God might ignore the screams of brute force, he absolutely listens to the melody of true devotion. In fact, Ravana asks the Lord of the Cosmos for a new name to reflect this very day. A day where his legacy was cemented, not as a violent conqueror, but as the brilliant devotee who literally made the great god pause his meditation to listen.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to reflect on. Ravana had to be pinned under a literal mountain to realize his greatest power wasn't in his muscles, but in his mind and his voice. So when sheer willpower and brute strength let you down in your own life, what creative vulnerability, what new rhythm will finally set you free? Thanks for diving into this phenomenal story of the Shattered King with me today.